Hi there, great to see you again on this glorious morning. I'm going to do a little walk and talk, I think, today. I've got a lot to talk about, and you don't want to look at me all the time, I don't think. So I'm going to walk along the coast here from Sabinillas down to the Porto Duquesa, and I've got some good views to show you. So let's start walking. So the question I want to ask today is now a good time to move to Spain? Now, there's been some headlines just very recently in the past few days about Spain's growing economy. And Spain is now Europe's fastest growing economy, while at the same time, the UK's economic growth has slowed. Over the next 5 years, Spain's economic growth is forecast to outperform the UK. So with all these headlines, does this mean that now is a good time to move to Spain? Well, I think first of all, we should take a closer look at the Spanish economy. Spain's economy keeps growing. Why is the country doing so well? And what is driving Spain's economy? Spain's finance minister, Carlos Curupo, said in April, the success of Spain's economy relies on high consumption and investment, as well as tourism, next generation European funds, and immigration. Spain took the biggest growth hit among EU member states during the pandemic, but it has been leading the recovery since then. So, in essence, Spain has been playing catch-up. But the big question here is, are the Spanish feeling the benefits? And unfortunately, the answer to that is, well, no, not really. This positive economic outlook for Spain has to be balanced by their ongoing challenges. They've got persistent inflation. Spain's annual inflation rate was 2.7% in July 2025. But then again, if you compare that to the UK's annual inflation rate was 3.8% in the 12 months to July 2025. So while Spain's inflation is high, unfortunately, the UK's is even higher. A housing crisis. Spain's housing crisis is fueled by a combination of factors, including insufficient new construction, rising rental costs, and the impact of short-term rentals like Airbnb. Higher taxes. The tax burden in Spain is increasing above the European average. And the unemployment rate in Spain, specifically the youth employment rate. Spain's unemployment rate was 10.29% in the second quarter of 2025. However, on the other hand, this is the lowest unemployment rate recorded in Spain since 2008. So it is looking better, but it's still very, very high. So Spain is suffering from rising costs of living, unaffordable housing, and limited job opportunities. Now, hopefully, Spain's economic growth will start to filter down and the public will soon start to feel the benefits. This remains to be seen, of course. And what about the UK economy? Well, I receive so many comments from UK viewers about the cost of living and high taxation, such as these. So these comments were in response to a video I did about the British not coming to Spain this year. And I got so many comments like these saying it's because the Brits can't afford to come this year. The cost of living is so high in the UK. The taxes are so high. So, what can we conclude about the Spanish and UK economy? Spain's recent growth has been stronger than the UK's. Spain has received substantial EU funding, which the UK has not, due to Brexit, of course. And Spain offers a lower cost of living compared to the UK. So, this now brings me back to the question, is now a good time to move to Spain? Well, of course, it's not a simple answer. It depends. If you are coming to Spain but not to work, then you have to ask yourself the question, does the economy really matter to you? So, it depends on your circumstances, and you need to weigh things up and what it means to you. So let me just summarise just some of the pros and cons. The pros first. You've got the lifestyle change with a lovely warm climate, a relatively lower cost of living, a strong economy in Spain, good healthcare, and welcoming communities. Now, just some of the cons. The bureaucracy. You've got the language barrier. And a slow pace of life. Now, I've put this as a con. It's also a pro. But I think initially it's a con because it kind of slows your application process down and all the bureaucracy. Everything takes a long, long time and it's quite frustrating. But then I think as time goes on, the slow pace of life becomes a positive thing as you adjust into the way of life here in Spain. So in summary, the strong Spanish economy has to be regarded as a positive, but has to be looked at in context with the economic challenges that exist in Spain. And with Spain over the next 5 years forecast to outperform the UK, then yes, indeed, now could be a good time to move to Spain. So there you have it. That's my conclusion. Now is as good a time as ever to move to Spain, in my opinion, even with Spain's economic challenges. But certainly compared to the UK, which probably has even more challenges coming up in the future. Anyway, let's just get on with this beautiful walk. So, we're now about halfway between Sabanillas and the port of Duquesa. It's a lovely little walk, this, between the two. And as we are now sort of into the last week of August, It's still pretty warm during the day, but I have noticed that in the evenings now, sort of late on, it is sort of getting cooler. The temperatures are now down to sort of about 20 degrees at night, which is much more pleasant for sleeping, I do have to say. And I am looking forward to September. Temperatures a bit cooler, still lovely pleasant days. My first September here should be lovely. And with that, with regards to doing videos, I should be able to sort of get out and about a little bit more without having to sort of worry about getting too hot during the day. It is sort of, I don't know, about 10:30 this walk, and it's still pretty quiet, as you can see. In terms of property, there's not much to see along here at the moment. As we sort of come into the port very shortly, there's a bit more property along the front, if you're interested in the property along here. So in terms of property, there's not much to see just here, but a little bit further along as we approach the port of Duquesa, there is some properties along the front if you are interested in the properties. How beautiful is that? And it will be interesting to see the figures for the tourism this year, because from what I can gather from talking to people like bar owners, etc., it's been an odd year this year. I'm reading and getting sort of mixed messages wherever I look. If I read the figures for the airports, etc., I see that the figures are up, or at least very high. But there's something a little bit odd going on this year. Certainly not many British around. It's my first year, so I can't compare it to previous years, but I was expecting kind of a big British influx, and that's not happened. So just going back a little bit on the economy, might as well talk a little bit more about that. And it's interesting to see that one of the main drivers between the upsurge in the Spanish economy is immigration. Now, of course, us Brits now have to apply for a visa when we move here, unlike pre-Brexit when we could just freely move within the European sector. So now, to get the visas, we have to meet a certain financial criteria, and the Spanish now really can control people coming in from Britain. So with that in mind, they're only really letting in people they believe are, well, going to either contribute to the economy or at the very least not be a burden upon it. And in my case, I'm here on a digital nomad visa, which means I have to have an income, but not in Spain. I can't work in Spain, so I'm not taking anybody else's job. But at the same time, my income that I do have from outside of Spain, my taxes will now be going to Spain and not the UK. So I am contributing to the Spanish economy. The only thing that you can think of as a downside, I think, is that obviously I've had to buy a property. So I have taken up a property that obviously somebody in Spain can't take. But nonetheless, I am contributing towards that. So as far as the Spanish authorities are concerned, they see me being here as a net plus. Now, talking of properties, now we are approaching Duquesa. You can see some developments here. A paddle court there, which looks very good indeed. Can't access it from this side, I don't think. It's only accessible from within the grounds of the property. I have no idea what this urbanisation is called, but what a view. And what a location. Now this little place here sells ice cream, not open yet, but very nice ice creams there, and you can sit there and eat them and admire that view. Quite popular during the afternoons, that place. So we are now getting very close to the port of Duquesa. Well, I do have to say I have thoroughly enjoyed my first summer here living in Spain. But as I say, I am looking forward now to the autumn also, to see what that brings. Of course, I shall be doing plenty of videos. This is the Chiringuito on this side of the port, and that is a very nice beach bar indeed, I do have to say. So this is now the beginning of the port, and that is a sort of either a shipbuilding or ship repair, where the boats are taken out the water, which they have to do, I think, every year, is it? Does a boat have to come out? Certainly quite a regular thing. We won't go around the port, we'll just go a little bit further, just to the end of here. I do like this port very much. So this is where we finish, I think. So thanks for watching. Good to have you with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll just take a quick look at this wonderful view of the port. But thanks for watching, and I shall look forward to seeing you again. So thank you very much, and bye for now.